Well, let's examine further the strategies being adopted, and this is by the government addressing the economic impact of the spread and containing the spread. We're now being joined live from our studios in Abuja by a development economist, Dr. Emeka Okengo. We'd like to welcome you to the News at 10. And we must begin by asking that economists and financial experts are predicting global depression if the spread of the virus is not contained. How gloomy is the situation?
Well, it couldn't be any worse. Thank you for having me. It couldn't be any worse. We've got into the peak of what it can be. It's now a pandemic, and because it's a pandemic, it's going to get much more worse. But again, there's a flip side to it. The flip side to it is that I think this is also a wake-up call for our country. To begin to find how best we can be able to, develop our local capacities to be able to, be self-sufficient in a lot of, what we depend on now from external sources. For me, I'm sure that you might also be wanting us to talk about what the CBN did today, growing Nigeria, and the dinner that was held thereafter. I'd have been more, happier if I had more of our research institutes in that conference, because what we must be looking at now as a nation is how we're able to apply, most of our research outputs, into making certain that we can now be able to meet what we might be able to call our industrial, inputs and needs.
Following that consultative meeting, are you saying that you're not impressed with ways that the government is looking to addressing the impact this may have on the nation's economy?
Yeah, I'm saying that we would have been able to, probably draw on three broad sectors, what you might call your public sector, your private sector, and then your real sector. And then it is in the real sector you begin to deal with all the things that the central bank governor was trying to talk about, the agro industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the farmers, et al. Now, why do I say so? You see, the moment we're able to remember, we keep talking about this index case, that has come and he's not Nigerian. But the second index case, now the second person, who had been confirmed, has become an index case internally. And he had probably gone to, make a lot of contacts with numerous other persons that could now also become, index cases as they spread around. So it's important that we now look at, just not looking at our health facility from what you might be able to call the cosmopolitan level. It's time we probably now need to look at our health facility or our preparedness from that community level. If you listened to the professor that spoke from Kano, what he said was quite alarming, and everybody should be alarmed that in the whole of northern Nigeria, with all the kind of habitations we have here, you just have only one lab. And in this instance, we're not even talking about a normal lab. You'll be talking about what you call the bioterrorism grade lab, which are the labs for P2 and P3. Now, if the central bank governor also mentioned the pharmaceutical industry, to what extent are we supporting our research institutes, to begin to grow medicinal plants and then use these, medicinal plants to be able to develop phyto products? To what extent have government been able to support a NIPRID that had come on air to say that they had, developed local sanitizers, made from purely, organic materials or phyto materials? So it's not enough for us to talk about containment. What are we containing really? Have we been able to identify what this virus really is? And
I must ask you this question before we take our break, Doctor.
Is recovery.
Yes, because the finance minister announced that the 2020 budget may be reviewed downwards. How briefly, please, do you think this will play out regarding the fiscal outlook this year?
It would play out for the things that the budget is supposed to be providing. But I'm saying to you that it is just not only the budget that's an economic stream that our country can develop. That's the point I'm trying to make. We can also now develop some other financing sources or revenue sources that is non-budgetary.
All right,
that's the point I'm trying to make. Of course, it's going to have an impact when you scale down. And remember that budget is just a financial plan that you have cast in figures. It does not even mean that you have the 9 trillion. So if you're going to be scaling down, it simply means, of course, it's obvious, our revenue source is mainly from oil. And again, even the cost of producing that oil is not even going to be making it any easy for us if we are going to be, selling our oil anything less than $45. So the risks are there, but again, like I'm trying to say, the opportunities are even, more than the risks for me. If we're able to truly understand what we can do and how we should do it, especially focusing on our natural resources and our human resources. If we can be able to turn our natural resources into goods and services that can be consumed locally, and then they can begin to now struggle for their space in the international market space, and then our human resources into capital. And this is where research and technology that is locally, must be able to
We'd like to appreciate your time, development economist, Dr. Emeka Okengwu. Thank you for your time on the News at 10.